to invite on the stage our next participants, because again, we'll move on to a fireside chat where different views will be opposed. And again, there will be people who have experience. Yeah, please, welcome. In the middle. Who have experience with activating and encouraging young startups, but also they have direct idea of how the business atmosphere operates here in Bulgaria, not only. So I present to you Kremena Dervenkova, Executive Director Able, and Vesko Kolev, Founder and CEO of Icanpreneur. Please, the stage is yours.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us for a very important discussion on reskilling and upskilling in a world increasingly driven by AI and exponential technologies. My name is Kremena Dervenkova. I am CEO of ABLE, Association of the Bulgarian Leaders and Entrepreneurs, and today I'm sharing the stage with Vesko Kolev, founder and CEO of Icanpreneur, a platform that helps tech entrepreneurs and product builders move from idea to product market fit effortlessly. Vesko has more than 15 years of experience in the software industry, also leadership experience in companies like Telerik, and he brings to the table his perspective on how to transform a company from zero AI to fully AI product. So we will talk about how individuals and companies can thrive in this new dynamic. Vesko, thank you for joining us. Let's dive right in, shall we?
Right away.
All right. There's a lot of talk these days about reskilling and upskilling, often used interchangeably. And there's no need to stress on the importance of those two terms. I would rather ask, why don't we stop looking at upskilling as catching up and start looking at it as leapfrogging? So, Vesko, how can people and companies use this time not just to fill skill gaps, but to create something entirely new, like entirely new ways of working, entirely new types of roles, even new types of business models with the help of AI?
Yep. What a great question. Thank you all for being here today. So I think if we want to make something meaningful, we should always start with answering the fundamental question, what is it that we're building and who do we want to serve? And essentially, for companies like ours, for example, what we're doing is we are providing and facilitating a certain set of steps, a certain process. And the role of AI in it is very obvious once you look at what you do as automating and facilitating such process. It's about removing friction and steps that can be avoided. Most of those steps, while very valuable, are not necessarily things that humans typically like to do. So to answer your question, I think if we want to make new things and to introduce new roles and so on and so forth, rather than do some things like more theoretically or isolated, we should look at them through the prism of what we are building and how can we simplify it for our customers. That's at a very high level.
You've worked with a lot of early stage founders and you've seen for yourself what it takes to go from idea to investment. So let's flip the script a bit here. If you were to start a company right now from ground zero, knowing all you know about AI, what would you do radically differently? I mean, not just in terms of tech stack, but in terms of team structure, decision making, maybe even the problem that you would go after.
So, as you said, we've lived through that difference. We started pre-AI or pre-ChatGPT, and then ChatGPT came. The biggest difference that we've experienced was that all of a sudden we had a new competitor, and that new competitor obviously was ChatGPT, and most of the humanity was so excited about it. It was like a magic, and essentially everybody started to expect that the software should be smarter, should be easier to use, and should almost like think with you. And if we were starting now, one thing that will remain the same would be how we approach the reasoning of what we are going to build. So for us, it's not about AI or not, it's about what is it that we have to solve for our customers. And having AI just makes many of those like processes different or solved in a different way. And from that perspective, I'm not sure that we would have approached it very differently on the what and why side. I think we would have had similar struggles or challenges as we have right now on the how and who side. Probably if we start the company 10 years down the road, when the answer of the question, how can you leverage AI in a good way, in a meaningful way, probably then the answer would have been different. But now that we had the opportunity to think before AI and after AI, for me, while it wasn't like an easy step, and it's still not easy step, I think the fact that we were able to think in those two contexts helped us. Because when you have AI and you're using it, so to say, for the first time, you have this exploration to understand what it can do, how to use it, and so on. And many companies that I'm seeing starting right now get sometimes overwhelmed or drawn into exploring. It can do this, it can do that, and 500 other things. And it almost like feels that the focus moves to figuring out what AI can do, which is important. But fundamentally, the most important thing from a business perspective is what you are solving for your customer. And those two things should be worked on in parallel, but in that order.
All right. Let's look at the human side of it. If we look at AI as a core team member or a team of digital members, right? Somebody who takes the boring, repetitive stuff, everything that you don't want to do. You want to focus more on the creative, more on the deep work. Then, if we have AI, then what are the traits that we start rewarding in people? What are the type of people who thrive in such kind of an environment, and what are the kind of people who struggle? Who gets promoted at the end of the day, and why?
I think at the end of the day, everybody should get promoted. The question is at what, not at what cost, but what does it take to get there? As you've mentioned, our view about AI is to look at it as a synthetic human and not necessarily as a technology. And why that's important? Because if you look at it as human, it means that you have, in order to extract value out of it, you should use approaches that work well with humans. One example that we're typically giving is if you want to ask a person to do something, and essentially what you do. You think about their experience, we think about their context, and this is how you frame the task. And when we talk about a junior person, inevitably you have to give them steps. But when we think about a more senior person, we give them what are the outcomes that we want to achieve. Think, let's say, a marketer. You hire a very experienced marketer, and it wouldn't necessarily be very smart to tell them what exactly to do, because essentially you are breaking their, like, you don't tap into their experience. And so when you transition that to AI, it's pretty much the same. You have to understand what is the depth of the model that you're using, how smart it is, what they know, what they don't, and use it in that way. So to your question, what are the things that people thrive and what are the things what people struggle? I've seen developers struggling with AI because as a developers, I include myself in that thing, in that group, we love talking to people and we love leaving people to do whatever they want, and we love ambiguity, right? Yeah, obviously, I'm kidding for the non-developers. So we love control. We want to code every single step, and this is what makes us feel great, or I'll put in brackets, godlike feeling, like you've created it, it does what you want, and so on. But when you have AI in the picture, the feeling of determinism goes away. And it is as deterministic as a person, and that adds a certain level of discomfort in those people. So in order for developers to leverage AI in the best possible way, I think they have to accept this ambiguity, accept this creativity, so to say, and that's for them. In terms of how products are built, though, we cannot just write the roadmap or the feature or anything like that up front because, and we've seen it firsthand, the nice thing with AI is that the more you experience it, the more you understand how much it can do for you. And in essence, instead of writing requirements, product managers or whoever is involved in framing the roadmap, let's say CEOs, have to get their hands dirty and experience it. And this is how they will evolve what they're building, because while I said it's important to know first who we're serving and what we should solve for them, when it comes to how we'll solve it, there is an exploration that needs to happen with the AI. So who gets promoted? I think overall, if we develop our leadership skills, management skills, and start thinking of each of us as a leader of individuals, be it synthetic or real humans, we have to grow in that new role of managers and leaders, and essentially we should do all the nice things that human capital, or whatever the right term is today, were telling us, like, this is how you're a good leader, this is how you communicate properly, and so on. So whoever masters those three things while diving even deeper into their field will get promoted, in my view.
I was just about to ask you, what are the skills that people need to acquire in the next 6 to 12 months in order to stay relevant? And I think you just answered that question. All right, so how about small teams with limited resources? How can they start reskilling effectively today?
Yeah. For small teams, big teams, medium teams, everyone should essentially get into the AI. And I will answer the opposite question, which will be what they should be careful of. And if there is one thing out of today's session, let that one be the one you remember. I've seen a lot of people using AI for their products and a lot of people using AI in order to build their products. And one thing that we've seen is something, I don't know whether we've coined it or somebody else coined it, the term AI fatigue. This is what happens when you start using AI and you, let's say for coding, just for concrete example, or let's say marketing. So you start asking AI to do something for you, and then it doesn't do what you want, and you continue like clarifying it and so on and so forth. And it's almost like boiling a frog. At some point, it stops being about what you are solving. It starts like focusing on how to explain to the AI something, and those two things diverge. And the effect, the result of that is something that sounds credible, but is not necessarily effective. And an example for that is a code that doesn't necessarily do what you want, but at the same time you don't have a freaking idea what's written in it, and even when you look at it, it's almost like you haven't ever seen it, and that's a problem. And another way to express that is as if it's not even delegation, the thinking process, we almost like abdicate of thinking, which is a problem. So it almost feels like you having a very experienced person where you can ask every question you have, and then you get answered immediately. And what we've seen is that I wouldn't say IQ, but your performance, instead of improving, it slightly decreases because you're abdicating the learning part. And I think we should be careful with that. The people who will, in my view, win in tomorrow's market will be the one who maintain critical thinking and learn more about their field of expertise and use AI as if they're using or leveraging the smart people around them. But please don't forfeit thinking, the thinking process. At the end of the day, we will be creative and we'll experience and feel fulfilled when we add value, and our value, in my view, is being leaders who know where the heck they're going, while enabling AI and people that are on our team help us figure that out. But don't forfeit thinking, because AI should help us be better, not be like lazier or anything like that.
I know another one that you touched upon before I got to ask you, what is one thing that leaders should stop doing today and start doing in order to empower their teams to learn faster and smarter? But I think you covered it already. All right, so AI, integrating AI within a business, it requires intentional redesign. It's not just how do we add it as a feature or as something that's part of the product, but how do we build the product around it, and how do we build our value proposition around it? So we see that AI changes the way we build, the way we hire, and also the way we lead. What, according to you, is one thing that companies nowadays underestimate the most? Not something that they're doing wrong, but something that's flying under the radar, something that we're not talking about enough.
I think that every single person that hasn't experienced what it means to build a real product with AI underestimates it. Not necessarily on the one hand, we underestimate how hard it is to build something meaningful. On the other hand, we overestimate how much value it can add. So, to me, the most important thing for each company is to start somewhere and start thinking about from the perspective of where is the friction, or what steps or process can we remove out of the workflows that we're automating, and pick one small use case. I know you have heard this a million times. Pick something small, start with it, because even this small thing requires a lot of things to happen in the backend, right? You have to have a model, you have to have a way to call it, and so on and so forth. And it's almost like neither be overexcited, neither be arrogant or anything like that. Just like start doing it, because one thing is for sure is that yesterday is not similar as today, and tomorrow will not be similar as today. It's like very, very fast change. And as leaders, don't forget to have fun while doing it, because if you don't have fun, it's what's the point? What's the point?
Not worth it. So what's ahead of Icanpreneur in terms of AI?
ahead of Icanpreneur is to almost like fully realize the first version of our AI vision, which is to have an AI co-founder, a trusted AI co-founder that's not pretentious, but helps you be always one step ahead. It's about having the feeling that you're not alone. It's about having the feeling that you know what your next task is. And it's also about giving you the mental support that regardless of how hard the given moment is, you will make it and you'll build something useful. And people will love it. And it will sound cheesy, but the world will be a better place after you do that, because entrepreneurship at the end of the day, for the most part, is building something that you care about and people love using. So,
Absolutely. Okay, Vesko, thank you very much for this honest and very grounded conversation. I do think that we confirmed once again that reskilling and upskilling isn't just about catching up, it's about stepping up. We have the tools out there, we have the opportunities out there. It's up to us to decide what we do with them. Thank you very much for being with us. Enjoy the rest of the event.